If I could restart my CS2 investing journey today, these tips would have saved me over $5,000 and probably made me 10 times that. I made these mistakes so you don't have to. In the next few minutes, I'm breaking down the 12 biggest traps that eat investors alive. I'll tell you which ones cost me the most money, and most importantly, I'll give you simple, practical ways to dodge each one so that you can stack wins instead of stress. Let's dive right in. The first mistake is blindly copying the crowd. Now, I know the irony here. I make videos about potential investments, but what I think is really crucial is not to recklessly follow what others are suggesting on Reddit, X, or even YouTube, and do your own further research. I want you to understand what you're buying and why you're buying it. You should comprehend the mechanics of the item and what the fundamentals are, why it might go up, how many are in supply, and what's driving demand. Think of it like this. Copying someone without context is like copying your friend's math homework without knowing the formula. Sure, it might work once, but when the test comes around? That's why I love the comments on these videos. People disagree with me, they point out factors I missed, and that's great, because the more angles you consider, the better your decision making gets. Moreover, don't chase the spikes. Don't buy an item during or after a huge spike. Just because an item skyrockets overnight and everyone's talking about it doesn't mean you've got to get in before it goes even higher. I like to wait a couple of days, if not a week or two after an item shoots up to see how the market adjusts. As they say, if it's already vertical, you're late. Likewise, don't panic sell your items on dips. This one can be brutal. Think about why your item is falling. Are we exiting a hype period where the item may have become overvalued? Is someone manipulating the market for a specific item? S-tier items like M9 bayonets, karambits, and butterflies with top finishes are not likely to suddenly drop due to popularity or lack of demand. Maybe something else is at play. Consider whether in the long term they're likely to rebound, and don't cash out at the same time as everyone else. The next mistake is not having an exit plan or time frame. Are you buying these as short, mid, or long-term investments? If you don't know when you'll sell, the market decides for you, and you're far more likely to fall prey to panic selling or hype cycles. Keep an eye on your investments, not every day, as that will be an emotional roller coaster most, including myself, are not built for, but perhaps weekly or monthly. Keep track of the general market trends and how the game itself is doing. Consider factors like player base and the total market cap. Decide at what point you will cut some losses and use that opportunity cost in something else, because emotions are terrible traders. The third huge mistake is neglecting fees. It sounds obvious, but it's extremely important you factor in deposit fees, sales fees, and withdrawal fees when you're tracking your investments. Plus, more trades equals more fees, so finding items you believe in holding long term will reduce the bleeding. Obviously, we're hoping for great investments that do a lot better than the 5 to 10% deposit or sales fees we might be paying, but do yourself a favor and factor it into your calculations. The next error I see is people falling for the liquidity trap. This one can really sting. You buy an item cheap, but then when you try to sell, no one wants it. At least not for the price you're aiming for. Illiquid items have a low turnover rate or low sales volume and can be extremely hard to sell. Even if you purchase these items at a discount, you may end up having to resell at the exact same or an even greater discount just to find a buyer. A bargain you can't sell is a prison. Always look at sales volume when going into an investment. Number 5 is buying actively dropping items and ignoring supply mechanics. If you do not understand the supply fundamentals of a CS2 item, you should not be investing in it. Take a look at the active drop pool for cases, skins, and trade-up filler collections. While Valve tends to remove the oldest case from the active duty pool upon release of a new one, this is not always the case. No pun intended. Such as most recently with the removal of the snakebite before the fracture case, despite it being released a year later. Instead, it was based on the least unboxed case at the time. But with the armory being introduced last year, who knows exactly how these changes will look in the future. Of course, you might miss out on some early gains by not buying an item before it becomes a rare drop or entirely discontinued, but if this is a gamble you're willing to make, be conscious about it. I've already fallen prey to this one myself. During the CS2 hype, I saw sticker capsule 2s and the crown foil going absolutely insane. I thought, this is it, this sticker capsule is the next Katowice 2014. I bought over $5,000 worth at the $50 price point, without even bothering to confirm if it was still actively dropping. Years later, supply is increasing and its unit cost is back down to a measly $11. Thankfully, I followed my earlier advice and knew when to cut my losses. I put that money into other things that have done much better in the last few years, but it was a tough lesson to learn. By the way, if you're finding this breakdown useful, make sure you hit subscribe. I post CS2 content like this every week, and you don't want to miss out on next week's video. Thanks so much for your support. Mistake number 6 is confusing scarcity with desire. Just because something is rare doesn't mean anyone wants it. Scarcity only matters if people actually want the item. Always cross-check rarity with popularity and sales volume on various marketplaces. Otherwise, you'll be the proud owner of something rare but worthless. Number 7 is putting all of your eggs in one basket. I get it, when you're confident in something, you want to go all in, but that's dangerous. If you only invest in one item or area, you're treading on thin ice, and just one update or shift in popularity could bring disaster. Diversify. Mix in different cases, collections, high tier skins, trade up fillers, and maybe even some stickers. Spread your risk. That way, if one investment tanks, you're not completely crushed. The next mistake I see people making all of the time is hoping for massive returns on big ticket items. If you're buying expensive items, for example, an M4 Howl or Butterfly Fade, the dollar amount increase for you to get a 20, 50, or 100% increase is massive. Let's take a look at a good example of this, the Hydra case. The Onitaji is, in my opinion, a great looking AWP skin, and it would have been a pretty decent investment over the last few years. If you had purchased a factory new Onitaji in January 2018 for $70, you'd be up nearly 6 times on your money. But if you had purchased $70 worth of Hydra cases at just $1.40, you'd be up double that at 1,150%. And if you'd have instead bought a Howl, you'd only be up 300%. It's much easier for a $1 item to reach $2 than a $500 item to reach $1,000. Of course, there are exceptions to this, and you might want to factor in play skins, but you won't see a Butterfly Emerald triple in price over a year like some other items do. Number 9 is disregarding floats and patterns. This one really separates the casual players from the pros. Two skins might seem identical at face value, but one has a special float or pattern that makes it far more valuable. For filler skins, this is lower floats. For certain knives, this may be the Crimson Web pattern or fade percentage. The thing is, some websites don't even display this information. Make sure you learn about pattern seeds, which is easy to do with a handful of free guides online, and do your research to understand which skins benefit from certain characteristics. If you're not paying attention to this, you're leaving money on the table, and someone else will happily take it from you. Mistake number 10 is ignoring game updates and not staying up to date with changes affecting competitive play and the skin market. In 2019, the AUG was all the rage. A price decrease and faster firing rate than the M4s meant usage was up like crazy, and so were skin prices. Between the 9th of October 2018, when the first change came into action, and June 18th, 2019, when it was nerfed after dominating much of professional play, the AUG Hot Rod had already risen in price from $92 to $350. You can also see the immediate effect of the recent MP9 nerf on prices. Number 11 is not keeping a cash buffer for surprise opportunities. If you have all of your money at any given time already invested, you won't have the flexibility to take advantage of a market crash, an update, or unexpected event. Following the recent trade protection change, many high-tier skins dropped by as much as 20%. Had you bought in during that first week, you could have easily made hundreds in just a couple of days. Opportunities punish the fully invested. Keep a small percentage of your cash available in the case of a big update. Last, but definitely not least, is betting on Valve's next move. Don't gamble on updates that may never come. When Mouse first changed their logo and all the hype surrounding it being a heart shape and borderless for the first time on the Stockholm sticker, I bought in. Not 10, 20, or 100, I bought $3,000 worth of paper and holos, and $2,000 of Stockholm Challenger capsules in April 2023. Valve wouldn't release more borderless capsules after this event, right? Right? I ended up selling this $5,000 investment for just 2.4k, losing over half of its value in just a couple of months. Ultimately, Valve could change any aspect of the skin and trading market, but hedge your bets on discontinued items or mechanics that have already been established. Don't buy a parachute that only works if the wind blows the right way. Ultimately, my best tip is to be forgiving to yourself. You will make mistakes, and hindsight will make it seem like the choice was obvious. Only invest what you're willing to lose. I once read, if you can't afford to buy it twice, you can't afford it. And while many people apply this to everyday spending, there's no reason you can't also apply it to the world of investing. Before you go, make sure you like the video so YouTube knows you want more CS2 investing tips. And seriously, click this video right here. I'm sharing exactly why I bought over 50,000 cases, and some of them are already starting to climb. I'll see you there.